And so you can see where the power goes in, and on the bottom side where the components are for that. And I don't see anything that looks like it's burned up or out of place that would draw my attention of why this is not powering on. And the first thing I'll do is remove these little rubber feet, and I'm hoping these screws are underneath, but they are not. So I have to figure out how to access the inside of the Xbox One. And I guess a smart thing to do before getting into this would watch a video teardown for the Xbox One just to see how to get inside of it. So what I found out was this side that has the connect button and the USB is a side that you can pry open with the corner. And I'll just go ahead and stick a knife in here and pop this open. And this piece comes off. I will clean this while I have it open. This piece slides out right here. And now this side, I would just press the smaller side down and pull the larger side up. And that should separate this little plastic area here. Alright. And now we have the separation of the back, and then we'll just go on along the side and take the top off of it. Now that I have this opened and the internal is exposed, I want to make sure not to tear this ribbon for the touch sensor that turns it on. And so what I'm going to do is take the faceplate off, and let's see if you can see. There are several little clips that hold this on, 8 to be exact. And so I just want to pry those out like so. Don't tear. Alright, and now you have this piece off. Lay it aside, and you have the area where those clips were at that I mentioned earlier, as well as this power strip for the sensor to eject and to turn it on. And now the next step is just remove these black screws, and you can do that with a TA or torque bit. This is a size 8. I was fortunate enough to have the screwdriver built with the end of it. You may have the ability to use these little removable bits and one of these screwdrivers. Whichever one it is, you just use the TA size 8 and remove these black screws. You will have to disconnect this little chip or this board, and there is one hidden screw underneath. And now you can see what the inside of the original Xbox One looks like. You've got your 500 gigabyte hard drive, a massive fan with a heat sink, and your Blu-ray drive. So what I want to do is figure out what is causing this not to power on and just see if it's something obvious. I did notice that there was a lot of loose screws and free movement inside of this as I was tearing it apart, and I'm hoping that that is the reason why it will not power on. And so after checking the motherboard for any type of obvious damage or loose connections with components, I don't see anything. And I'm hoping that just maybe transferring this from home to work, because I'm a firefighter and I play my Xbox at work, has possibly just caused something to get loose. And I'm hoping that just plugging this into the power and with the small amount of stuff I've done kind of made this almost heal itself. And so I'll just go ahead and connect power to it, check and see what its status is, and let you know after that's done. Now that I have this kind of sort of laid together to where I could plug in power and HDMI, I'm going to test this out on my television, see if I get power and a signal. So let's push you back. Power. Power. And so no power, so I have to go a little bit further with my research and disassembly. So now I've taken off almost everything that you can from the motherboard, and I'm looking for any type of damage on components, whether it's resistors, capacitors, or different components including power and HDMI. I don't see anything that's obvious, and I don't know if by disconnecting the panel for the power as well as the hard drive and the Blu-ray disc will possibly reset something on the motherboard, because I have it fully disconnected from power other than the fan, the heatsink, and the processor. While I have it broke down to the bare metal, I'm going to go ahead and blow this off just to see if possibly some dust is acting as a shield or something, and just go from there, possibly reassembling this. And you can see a little bit of dust and trash that's built up over the years of constant playing on the motherboard as well on the side. So I'll just go ahead and blow all of that off and possibly improve the airflow and cooling of this. Now that I have cleaned the motherboard and broke down all components, removing connections from the motherboard, looked at capacitors, resistors, transistors, and any type of lead connections, as well as components, I don't see any obvious damage, and I have cleaned all of the components such as the hard drive, the Blu-ray player, the external speaker, the Wi-Fi, and the fan. I'm going to assemble this and hope that the process of tearing this down and cleaning it will solve the problem I'm having. Other than that, I'm going to have to go to a repair shop or possibly look at getting another Xbox One. And now I'm going to connect this to power, HDMI, and see if any of this helped the situation. And that was no success either, so I'm not sure at this point what is wrong, where to look at to fix this, or how to get it fixed. So my next bet is look at some place that does console repairs, find out what it costs versus a new one, and then go from there. Back again, I thought one more thing to check, and that would be to take the motherboard outside of this metal casing just to see if there's some type of marking on the bottom of the motherboard where the power supply plugs in, and I'm going to run into doing that now. So on the back side there looks to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws that you have to take apart, and the motherboard looks like it would just fall out of place. And on the top side, I can't see any area that would look burned up or otherwise causing a problem for this not to power on. So I'm wondering if maybe the power brick is the problem. I thought all along having this orange amber light on meant that I was getting proper power from the wall to the brick. And now that I see that it's unplugged, the amber light's not going off. And I really don't remember if this is green or if it's amber when it's plugged in. So I will refer to the answer on YouTube. So I found out that the amber light does not necessarily mean you're getting good positive energy to the brick and from the brick to the power on the motherboard. So it's quite possible that this light, which I've looked up, is supposed to be white when it's on and working properly. So this right here being plugged up is quite possibly the problem I am having. So tearing this apart into a million pieces was actually unnecessary if I done a little bit more research in the beginning. If this does turn out to be the fix, it's a lot cheaper buying one of these than it is buying a brand new Xbox. Alright, now we have a fully assembled Xbox One that doesn't want to power on. But since I got it fully assembled, let's see if I plug it in. Will I get any smoke? Probably not, because this thing is not going to work right. I'm still getting the amber light, go to white. Alright, let's see, plug this in. Nothing here, still amber light. Well, it didn't get any worse. So it's only a matter of getting a power supply and following up with that. So I decided to pull into Game Exchange and check and see if they have any power bricks, because it is the first in line before I get to GameStop. And so I'm going to check to see what they have in here to see if I can fix my Xbox. Yay! So I'm back. I was able to test out a second power brick. It did have a white light on the front, but the Xbox did not power on. They referred me to some company that repairs consoles.